With Fortnite's ever-growing success in the Battle Royale genre, hundreds of thousands of players are queuing up for their first game every day. Some will have thousands of hours of shooter experience behind them, others, they're picking up the controller for the first time. Most will hear the term Bloom thrown around randomly. Satisfying shooting mechanics, am I right? But what exactly is Bloom? I'm going to break that down for you and show you exactly how to improve your aim in Fortnite. I'm a gamer who loves shooter genres. I have thousands of hours stacked up playing them. Halo, Call of Duty. I moved over to PC with Battlefield and then CSGO. I got addicted to Battle Royale with Arma and then King of the Kill, PUBG, and now we're playing Fortnite. But the one thing that Fortnite's really thrown me off on when I first started playing it was the shooting mechanic. A mechanic that a lot of players incorrectly refer to as Bloom. So why don't we explain exactly what that mechanic is, and that way we can start to learn how to master it. When researching the shooting mechanics in Fortnite, I came across this great article by Arena FPS, which I'll link in the description below. It uses this video as an example of the shooting mechanics in Fortnite, which we're about to watch together. Here is a player trying to find a kill with the revolver. Lines up a shot, misses. Second shot misses as well. Third shot finds the headshot, knocking down his opponent. As you can see, the first shot's actually perfectly lined up on the head and misses. The second shot though, the player dodges by moving out of the crosshair, and the third shot, strangely enough, lined up on the chest, gets a headshot, as proven by this freeze frame here. Many people on Reddit would probably use this video as an example of satisfying shooting mechanics in Fortnite, but what I want to do is break down this video further so that we can actually start to understand the shooting mechanics in Fortnite and then further improve our aim. In Fortnite, your bullets don't necessarily go on the center dot of your crosshair, as shown in this Magnum video that's on loop in the background. Instead, the bullets have a random chance of going anywhere within the crosshair, and this is called spread. I've created a freeze frame of the video we've been watching in the background. As you can see, the center dot is perfectly aligned with the opponent's head, but this will not guarantee headshot. In fact, the center dot in Fortnite really has no significance as to where the bullet will go. It is only used to help players aim their crosshair, but doesn't necessarily show where the bullets go when the gun is in fact fired. What dictates where a bullet will go is a gun's spread. This red circle illustrates the spread of the revolver that the player is using. The red circle touches the inner tips of each of the outer crosshair markers, and a bullet has a random chance of going anywhere within this red circle. Bringing the player back into view over the red circle, you can see that he takes up a very small portion of this current crosshair. If I then highlight him in green, it's easier to see, and really the player only takes up 20 to 30% of the current spread circle, meaning that a bullet would only have a 20 to 30% chance of hitting the player. Bringing up a freeze frame of when this poor lost soul finally loses his life, you can see that the red spread remains the same as before, but when you bring the player back over the red spread, he takes up far more of the crosshair. The green illustrates that roughly it takes up about 70% of the crosshair, and so the bullet will have a 70% chance of hitting the player. But going back to when the center dot is shown, you can see that the center dot wasn't lined up on the head. So why has the headshot come through? Well, as explained before, a bullet has a random chance of going anywhere within that red circle, and it decided to go upwards, which hit the head of the player. So we now know that the spread of a gun will dictate the area that a bullet can go when firing, but we haven't even touched on Bloom yet, the term that everyone uses to describe the shooting mechanic in Fortnite and why they miss all their bullets. If spread is the area of effect of where a bullet can go, Bloom is the mechanic that dictates how large or small a gun's spread is. Bloom will increase the spread of a gun when you are hip firing, walking, running, jumping. Any form of movement increases the spread of a gun. Equally, Bloom decreases the spread of a gun when you aim down sights, when you crouch, when you stand still, when you tap fire. The Bloom will decrease the spread of the gun, making it far more accurate. So now we know how spread and Bloom work as shooting mechanics in Fortnite. It's time to exploit the way Bloom reduces spread to increase our accuracy in fights. And we can do this by following a few set rules. The first would be to aim down sights. Avoid hip firing when possible. ARs, pistols, SMGs all have massive spread when you hip fire, so you want to aim down sights when using those to decrease the amount of Bloom that is generated and effectively increase your accuracy. The second is to stop, crouch, stand still, More easily said than done for sure, but if you can create yourself a 1-by-1 when fighting an opponent, then you can stand at the top of your ramp and just stand still and crouch and shoot at your opponent from a stationary position. Now, you will have to duck and weave every now and again to avoid shots, but if you're crouching and standing still, then your spread is going to be less, meaning you have a higher chance of hitting your opponent. The third rule is to tap fire, and I actually think this is fairly underused by the majority of Fortnite players. So whatever your fire button is, whether it be mouse 1 or the right trigger on your controller, don't hold it down. Tap it individually every time you want to fire a bullet. Now that takes a little bit of practice to get used to, especially if you haven't been doing it before, but it will reset the bloom that is generated every time you take a shot. And so every time you take a shot, the bloom increases the spread. And if you were to individually tap it, then it resets the crosshair size every time. So you have more accuracy, especially when firing at range. Maybe when you're closer to an opponent, you want to hold it down as the increased spread won't matter as much because they will be closer to you. But definitely at range, you need to tap fire if you want to hit your opponent. The fourth and final rule is to aim for center of mass, a tactic used by police forces and militaries all around the world. Instead of aiming for headshots, you aim for the chest of your opponent to increase the chances of hitting them. Now, this is a little bit counterintuitive for anyone who plays a lot of shooters, as most shooting games will reward you for aiming explicitly for headshots, but because of the way spread works and the RNG of bullets, aiming for just headshots is going to mean that you miss far more shots due to the fact that the top half of your crosshair will not be covering your opponent. If you lower your crosshair to center of mass, then the top part of your crosshair now is over the head, the lower being on the lower torso, and you're going to have a far more increased chance of hitting headshots, and you will still hit headshots because of the top half of your crosshair being on your opponent's head. Most high-level Fortnite players aim explicitly for center of mass at range. This is really only applicable to ARs, SMGs, pistols, and I guess shotguns if you're further away, but shotguns up close, headshots are far more valuable to go in for. And so it's a tactic that you're going to have to relearn a little bit, especially at range, is aiming for center of mass to increase your accuracy. And that's it. Those are my full rules to increase your accuracy in Fortnite. Aim down sights, stop, tap fire, and aim for center of mass. This is going to reduce the RNG element of your bullet sprays immensely, and you're going to find yourself becoming far more accurate as you practice these out. I hope this video has been helpful. If it is, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and hit subscribe if you want more informative Fortnite content like this. I'm currently working on a weapons comparison guide, which I hope to be releasing next week. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Dowsey, and I'll catch you guys on my next video. Peace.